Hello, and welcome to Xbox International Airlines. We are now in flight number 48. Just two more to go to reach flight 50. Man, I am excited to reach flight 50. I don't know if the panel is super excited. And speaking about the panel, let's start with Mr. Silent Cypher, brother. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Happy to be all squared away and going for another flight this evening. I gotta say, I'm really looking forward to when it gets warmer outside. This booth feels real nice and warm, but it is really chilly outside. So this is kind of like my safe haven. But yeah, getting ready, and getting super excited to talk with you guys about this. So let's go.
Man, I'm gonna say something though. I'm super happy because the climate here is actually cold. It's actually how much it is? I don't know. It's like 75 degrees Fahrenheit, so it feels kind of cold. I don't have to turn on
That's
the
not bad.
AC, not even the fan or anything. Man, I'm super relaxed with this cold. Speaking about cold, Mister Sourblow, how are you doing today, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great. Super excited for today. It is a little bit cold over here, especially that I'm in the basement. The basement's a little bit more chilly down here. But yeah, super excited for today. I do owe you guys a surprise. Well, not a surprise, an announcement. However, unfortunately, things didn't go as planned last week, so we might have to push it probably another week because we are testing some things. Let us know in the chat how the audio quality sound, how's the video, how everything is working, and nothing. Excited to talk gaming.
All right, awesome. So, why don't we ask everybody what's been playing? Let's start with you, Mister Silent. What have you been playing lately, brother?
I haven't been playing a lot, but I did jump into Metro. Like I was mentioning, I had played Metro 2033, and I did finish that this last week, going into the weekend. Unfortunately, I've been a little bit under the weather the last few days, so apologies if you can hear it in my voice. I'm a little bit weaker than usual when it comes to my sound, but I'm here. I'm really looking forward to jumping into playing some more games. I actually just got really excited about jumping back into Alan Wake because I still haven't finished the remaster on that. I had just beat the game again right before the remaster came out, so I got to get back to it. And like I was talking to you guys a while ago, when I started playing that Alan Wake remaster, I was running into some really weird graphical glitches and stuff like that in the game. Fortunately, the updates that they released for that got rid of it. So we should be good to go as far as that stuff goes now. But yeah, no, I'm not a lot yet. I'm getting excited with all the stuff that's coming out though. Like it's going to start getting nuts. I'm looking forward to hearing about some games this next week too.
Woohoo. Next week we got the interesting show coming up the 25th. Man, oh man. Sourblow, tell us what you have been playing, brother.
Oh well, I actually been playing Metro. I beat the first one. I beat the second one. I'm currently playing Metro Exodus, and I gotta say, from Last Light to Exodus, there's a big jump. Like you could really tell that. I don't know if they changed engine, if they updated the engine, or what they did, but it looks very very different. And there's some changes in some of the game mechanics. Well, not the game mechanics stays the same, but I would say that they upgraded on some of the game mechanics. There's little changes, but they feel so much better. And also the mapping of the control, silent, once you get there, you're gonna definitely enjoy more than what they have right now. And I also been jumping here and there to Vampire Survivor again, and I've been getting now the characters you unlock from the coffins. I think I'm missing like two, I
Hmm.
believe. So yeah, pretty nice.
The OP characters.
The OP. Oh yeah, they're pretty OP. How about
Uh,
you, Crazy?
But wait, so I want to ask you a question about the Metro Exodus. How do you feel about it? Because I mean, a lot of people that have played and beat the game, I don't know how far are you into it, did not like that much the plot as the others. I mean, how are you liking the plot at least?
What, Metro Exodus?
Yeah, Metro Exodus. Yeah.
Well, so far so far it's pretty interesting. It's a little bit more. It's less linear. It seems. I gotta
Hmm.
keep going a little bit more, but so far so good. I don't have any complaints yet, but I'm very early still because I just started it not too long ago. I'm probably chapter 2, 3, 4 at most. So
Hmm.
so I'm pretty early still.
All right. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Me, what I've been playing, brother? I've been playing a little bit of High on Life. I'm trying to beat the game. And I'm also, yeah, I'm still playing Vampire Survivors on the cell phone when I can. I sit there and you just sit there and just play it. I'm right now trying to look for the scroll of my born. I don't know what's it called though. Me born. I don't know. It's some weird scroll I gotta look for. But it's getting tougher and tougher, man. It's getting tougher and tougher. Now it's time to like look for the secret characters. But yes, Vampire Survivors, man, a lot of fun on mobile. And like I said, High on Life. I'm trying to beat that game. A lot of fun. If you guys have not played it, you gotta play it. You gotta play it.
Definitely.
Hmm.
I really enjoy
Yeah.
that game. Definitely I did.
Did you beat it already, Sour?
Oh yeah, oof. I beat it
Oh,
like the first week, I guess. Something like that. I
uh-oh.
don't know.
I guess I'm the one that's being slow. No, I have to sit down and play it. But either way, though, let me say what's up to the awesome chat. Let's go down the list. Oh, Talos, the man with the ray. What's up, brother? It's Timmy. What's up, Timmy, my brother? Mr. Grasso. Hello. How are you doing, brother? Let me see what else is there. Mr. Dark, how are you doing today, sir? Hope you're doing awesome and well. And now, since I shouted out to the chat, it's time for my brother, Sourblow, to do the flight itinerary for today's show. Go for it, my dear brother.
All right, before I do the flight itinerary, Tyler said he keeps dying. I just want to say this. There was one part, I think it was on last light, yeah, that I kept dying, and it was because I ran out of resource, and my mask was like out, and I just kept dying. I was like, there's no way I could beat this part, so I had to go back to find more resource to like more filters. So yeah, my suggestion is make sure you look everywhere and get as much filters as you can. But anyway, let's jump into the flight itinerary, what we're going to talk about today. So today we are going to talk a little bit about Ubisoft, which last week in our we were talking around with Crazy, and Crazy brought up a nice question, and I thought this question was a nice topic, and actually more information came about that, so that's pretty interesting. We also have some information on Callisto Protocol, which didn't meet expectations, and we have quite some information about that. And we also will talk about what's the other topic? Hold on, sorry, my phone is ringing. um, we will also talk about, well, there's more topics. There are more topics, but before we go to our captain, there is something I want to talk about, and it's something I want to address before we start. Once we start, we want to start on a high note, but I want to get this through. And is I've been seeing a lot of backlash on two games, which is Hogwarts Legacy and Atomic Heart, and many people are even saying they want to boycott the game. And for me personally, this is my personal opinion. I don't know if Crazy and Silent feel the same, but it's pretty unfortunate. We have J.K. Rowling, which said some things that I definitely don't agree with, and I'm sure Crazy don't agree with what they said, what she said, and I'm sure Silent doesn't. And it's unfortunately that because of her actions, the dev has to pay, the developers have to pay for what she basically said. And the other thing is, the Atomic Heart developers too, like, they are from Russia, but unfortunately, they don't make these decisions. you know they they have not stated if they are against, or they just don't want to address this because it's something pretty delicate. It's a politician, and I don't think it's fair that people, unfortunately, are going after them. I think, if you want to support the game and you think this is a good game, I believe you should support it, but it's up to you. If you definitely don't want to support the game, it's also understandable. But I don't think these developers need to hear it on social media, and they don't need to be attacked. So that's all I'm going to say about this matter. And nothing. Do you want to say anything crazy or silent?
On my side of things, and I'll tell you something though. I mean, after I see what's been going on, I saw that Mudfish came out talking about saying that we do not support the war, stuff like that. I'm like, I was like, man, seriously, people shouldn't judge on what's going on around them, and that's something that is just like, it's not their fault that this war is going on, and really it's just something that people shouldn't like, what's it called, like accuse them because they're or saying that they're a part of it, because they aren't. I mean, they came out and they said no, and really, if you want to, support them, go ahead, because again, those guys have nothing to do with that. They have nothing to do with that. So yeah, and if they did a good work and you guys feel like everything is good, go for it, support them. And the whole J.K. Rowling incident, I always say something, and I always tell everybody, if you have something negative to say, keep it to yourself. Don't express it, because I mean, literally, that's just wrong. That's just wrong.
Yeah.
You shouldn't express that anywhere.
Yeah. The thing is, like, if you are against,
Yeah.
because of political reasons or whatever reason, if you really don't want to support, just don't support. Your wallet will talk at the end of the day. And there are different, websites, where you can support Ukraine, for example. You can support the trans community. Is that the way? If you really want to make an impact, that's what you should do. But attacking these developers, they have nothing to do with this. That's all I have to add. Captain.
Yeah. Yeah, the only thing that I was going to say on that real quick too is just, before you jump into towering over someone on opinions and like what a stance is or what someone's stance is online about, supporting this or not supporting it or whatever, like, do your research, look into the facts, make sure that what you're out there saying or what your stance is founded, and that you're not just throwing something out there that's not based in the actual facts of the situation. Like, yes, these people live in a country where things are bad and there are bad people, but you'd be foolish to say that anyone else of us, like anyone in the US or elsewhere, don't have politicians that are bad people as well. Like, there are things that go on in the political state that we can't control. And just because I live here doesn't mean that I stand in lockstep with everything that my politicians support, or same thing in Russia. But that's all I have for it.
All right. Are we ready to take off?
Well, yes, I guess we could do this now. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, Captain Sour has turned on the subscribe button. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. Please stow your food and beverages next to your desk, underneath the seat, or in front of you. Please take your seatbelt and fasten your belt. Also, please make sure that you've hit that notification bell before we go any further. We gently remind you that smoking and drinking are not prohibited on this flight. However, talking about unnecessary nonsense like using a power wash on your toilets is strictly prohibited. We're looking at you, crazy. If you have any questions about the flight today, please don't hesitate to ask one of our panelists. Thank you.
All right. Crazy. It's time for the poll of the week. We can't hear you, Crazy. You're muted.
Oh, is it unmuted now? All
Not
right.
yet.
Sorry, guys. Sorry. All right. The poll of the week. The poll of the week. That sounds pretty cool. Also, the poll of the week is: what are you most excited to see on the Xbox and Bethesda Developers Direct? And what Sour put on was the Cinemax Online, Minecraft Legend. Wait, Minecraft didn't get a vote. I should have voted for Minecraft, Forza Motorsport, and Redfall. And the winner is Minecraft Legends. No, I'm just kidding. Redfall. Man, I'm pretty psyched for Redfall. I'm telling you guys, that game is gonna be freaking awesome. Redfall is just gonna be woohoo. I
Yeah.
mean, reading all that stuff about it. Oof, I can't wait to see more on that.
Even
Woo.
though Silent Cypher voted like 20 times for Forza, it didn't win.
Yeah, you know what? I didn't go out of my way to be a jerk about it, but I was really tempted to tilt in my favor.
No, so you made up like 20 accounts and voted for Forza 20 times?
That's why he did.
No, I just got my Forza squad backing me up. Whenever you want me to win a vote, you just throw that out there, and I send out the alarms to everyone. I say, hey, make sure you go vote for this. Don't vote for that other stuff.
Man. But like I said, though, Redfall winner, super excited, super stoked. Captain, it's time for our main topics.
All right. Well, so going into the very first topic this evening, kind of a sour one, kind of a bummer. But the first topic is the fact that striking distance is having some issues, to say the least. Callisto Protocol was accused of leaving developers off of the end credits for the game, which not a great situation for sure, but it gets more compounded than that. So the release of Callisto Protocol has not been without its issues, as we know. Obviously, there's been some crunch culture concerns. There's been some toxic nature kind of in there that we knew about, and that we kind of knew about just because of Glenn Schofield and his past over at ActiBliz back in the day. But what we ended up finding out, there have been new allegations that have come out suggesting that some of the developers who worked on the title had actually been left out of the game's credits, which we'll go into the details as to why there are ramifications for that and why it's an issue. But according to a new report by Game Industry Biz, they spoke to 5 former Striking Distance employees, and as many as 20 developers across various departments were omitted from the game's end credits. While it's not an uncommon practice for developers who depart from a studio to not get a credit, sources say that the studio had no such policy in place during their tenure and didn't formally communicate this with the staff. A lack of credit for work done on a game, especially something like a AAA game, can be, devastating for someone in a dev side of things, like in their career opportunities, because, if it'd be like trying to lie on your resume or something and be like, oh yeah, I was totally the store manager of this place for 5 years and I had exemplary awards. And then they go back and they're like, well, we don't have any record of that. That's kind of what this looks like sometimes. Like if they look at it and they see that you don't have a credit on that for a AAA game, especially, they're like, well, but we don't see any proof that you actually did that. So that's, again, devastating for a developer, especially if they're trying to move into new positions as time goes on, or new development opportunities, right? Those credits, not only is it a good shout out for a job well done, but it's also beneficial to them in the long run for future prospects of jobs. Many of the developers had told the publication that they had positive experiences working on Callisto Protocol and left the studio without issue, with their omission from the credits coming as a surprise due to this. Striking Distance Studios, founded by, as I mentioned, Glenn Schofield. Oh, sorry, of Dead Space history. my bad, has come under fire previously for treatment of workers. Schofield was criticized for a tweet in September where they were congratulating the long hours worked and basically supporting and promoting the idea of the crunch culture, which obviously he discovered very quickly was not maybe a good take on things, because he actually removed it and then issued an apology shortly after. One developer told the publication that the team had worked intensely to help craft this product. They say working 12 to 15-hour days only to be punished with a credit omission for not going the extra mile to stay until it shipped felt like rubbing salt into the wound. So, I guess the first thing is like, Crazy, what are your thoughts on this situation? What's your takeaway when you hear this news about the whole situation?
I'm gonna say something though, and with this whole situation is it's rough on how all these people worked super hard to make this game the way they made it, right? I'm telling you, just hearing all this and reading all this, it's a shame that they were not put on the credits where they do deserve to be there. I mean, they do. They do. I mean, I'm gonna tell you something. They even left senior developers out, lead and lead directors and all that stuff. I mean, literally, they left a lot of people out that do deserve there, and that they have made a bunch of contributions to the game. Contributions, I mean, contributions, but contributions to the game.
Yeah.
So really, those guys do deserve, be shown their hard work and what they did, and it's just wrong that they were not credited for what they have done. They should have gotten their spot. They should have.
Yeah. Sour, what do you think about this?
Yeah, no, definitely. Adding in what, Crazy was saying, the fact that they work so hard in this game and they get omitted, or, they get taken out and not credited, it's pretty bad because, as you was mentioning, you go you go apply for a different job, and you kind of say that you have experience and you have worked on this previous job, but then when someone go look it up, it's your credits is not even there. So that
Yeah.
kind of removes some of the the possibilities you have of getting this new job, and you get tagged as a liar at the same time, because or just at the end of the day you will have to just not use it for your resume because you have no
And
proof.
I will say, regarding that, like obviously there are other options you have to reach out to the company that you could have that information verified, right? But especially in a situation like that, it just usually, if you're tied to a AAA or something like that is very much an accolade way for them to be like,
Yes.
hey, look at this, look at what I did. And yes, you could reach out to HR, you could have references that worked there and stuff. If if they're still there at the
Yeah.
time, you could have those folks back that up as well. But it is very much one of those like written accolades to show like, hey, I did this thing and I was involved in this process from start to at least like halfway of the finish. But
Yes.
again, with them not having any of that information listed, stating that they were going to admit their credit or whatever if they didn't stick around for the whole thing or anything like that, like if that's a decision that the upper management's going to take, they need to make sure that that's communicated, so that way you're not going into this project thinking you're going to see that credit given and then just get shot down because like, oh well, we just decided we're not going to put you there. Like
Yeah.
that's scummy, to
Yeah.
say the least.
And then the fact they were working like long hours in order
Hmm.
to put this game out, and then you don't get credit.
Yeah.
It's insane. And I just gotta say this last thing is that if you're an owner of a job or a company, every employer that puts in some work into the company, that whether it's small or a large role, they are part of the company, and if they leave, they have foreign part of the company, even if they have left. It's like Xbox International Podcast. If one of us have to leave, unfortunately, due to work or whatever, it's we're still everyone that has been in this podcast and has been part of this podcast is part of what we are now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like paving that foundation and making that road for what like you're saying, right, in the game or like with our podcast or et cetera, is like
Yeah.
acknowledging the people that came before. They're the ones that paved that path and started that foundation for what we've become or what these guys have become over time. So it's very disingenuous, it feels like, to drop someone like that. And maybe, it's like I'd love to give a benefit of the doubt and be like, hey, it wasn't intentional. But I don't know. I feel like sometimes, and you do see it, unfortunately, is sometimes there's a retaliatory nature towards people who end up leaving a project, right? Because most of those people probably moved on to something better or onto a better opportunity for them personally and for their families. And some people get hurt when you leave a job, right? Like,
Yeah.
people get jealous sometimes when you leave a job, and so maybe there's some retaliatory method tied to it.
You know what's
Um,
interesting and at the same time kind of sad? I have read that supposedly once the credit, it's done, they well, this has never happened at least. They don't patch it, like they can't add someone else. Like once it's done, it's done. And if you get cut out of the credits, then you're just cut out of the credit, which is sad because it's like you should be able to like put a patch in and just add a few more people to the credit.
yeah.
Like that shouldn't be a big deal.
It feels like, even if it almost sounds like you're talking about like transferring from a Word document and converting it to a PDF, right? Is when you convert it, you can't add certain things to it, or if it's like a video file or something. But if that's the case, if that's something where you can't just go back in and put those names right in their section, throw it at the end. Throw it at the end and do like special thanks to those who helped us on our journey.
Exactly. Yes.
Like you could do something like that. It'd be tactful, and it's not like it really adds that much to the process.
Yeah.
But I, who knows? Like we'll probably never hear an explanation as to why they were left out. We can only assume, unfortunately. And again, based on some of the history of some of those folks like Glenn and some of those guys, like there might be more that we don't want to hear about the reasoning. But speaking on some of this stuff and on some of the issues that the team has had.
Wait, can I interrupt you real quick, Silent? There's a
Sure,
question from the chat. Dark is asking, do these current reports on Striking Distance Studio and its culture prove why EA might have closed down Visceral, meaning Glenn Schofield was difficult to work with?
Usually when there's smoke, there's fire, right? So there's a good possibility that might be one of the reasons as to why they did it. I mean, you look at it, and the culture in that development studio, if it was toxic, maybe they saw it and they decided it was better to burn down and start from scratch with someone else doing a project instead of, gutting it down to the bare bones, the bare joists and structure, and trying to build a new thing with that same group. Like maybe it was better for them to distance themselves from that history.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see something though, because that's all Dead Space were good except for 3 was just I did not get Dead Space 3 at all. It's like it became Resident Evil 6, right? It was all action, no scary stuff. I played it for like a little bit. I was like, nah, this is not Dead Space for me. I took it off. I never played it again. But
3 was very much like what we see Ubisoft doing right now.
Oh dear.
Where which we'll get into it.
Yeah, we'll get into that. But
Spoilers,
but the way But the way this report came out and talked about it, it seems like, yes, he seems like a difficult person, because I mean, putting people through crunching just to get a game done, that is just not right. I mean, people get tired, people get exhausted. 6 to 7 days, my God. I mean, 12 to 15 hours, that is a lot
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to get a game finished. That is a lot. Seriously. I think,
And
yes, he's difficult.
and it's one thing, like if you want to be there, if you want to be doing the work and you want to put in that extra time, like that would be one thing. But I guarantee you, like by the end of that thing, them working on it and being, listed to do those 12 to 15 hour days and stuff like that, I guarantee you by the time it was done, that was the last thing they wanted to come do, is like blood, sweat, and tears on their time instead of hanging out with their families and stuff like that. And that's an irresponsible and just an unpleasant thing for a developer to push on the development team. Like if the culture's good and people are meshing and it's a good feeling being there all the time, sure. But I can't imagine doing those 12 to 15s over and over again. Everyone's morale was super high, right? Like there had to be some vitriol, there had to be some resentment in that situation, especially when you then find out that a bunch of people didn't even get their credits for the time that they spent. Like that just, it adds to a toxic culture and toxic environment. So fingers crossed this gets nipped in the bud. Like hopefully they sort it out, they see this as an issue and they actually resolve it. But it's gonna depend on the HR, it's gonna depend on the folks at high management in that company to make sure that those things get taken care of properly. But yeah, so going back on to some of the issues that they've been having, we also found out that the sales expectation was not met.
I wonder why.
So yeah, there might have been a handful of reasons on this one, but according to Samsung Securities, Krafton had expected the Callisto protocol to sell about 5 million copies. However, considering the current sales ranking, cumulative sales of 2 million copies will not be easy until this year. So kind of missed that 5 million mark, maybe just a little bit.
Just a little.
So that brings us to the next question, though. Sour, why do you think that they didn't end up getting a solid sales ranking on this? Like, why do you think the game didn't sell as well?
Well, personally, I think the first thing is that the game, I would say the game needed to hit like the first week like on another level. Like people were expecting it visually and gameplay wise to be amazing. And even though I have heard good things about the game, but I haven't heard like no one was actually wowed about the game. And another thing to add to this game is that it was also, it's a new IP, which a lot of folks didn't recognize it. And if you didn't know the Dead Space franchise, you might have not been interested in the game. And even if you knew the Dead Space, games, but you kind of like, let's say you kind of like me, where you played it like currently, and you go back to the game, the way it plays, it doesn't play like a current gen game, or it doesn't have like the best movement. Maybe at the time, they were great, but I think play wise, like now, it needs to be updated. That's why it's great that there's a remake coming for the first one. So I think that people that maybe have tried it, they might not have had that high of an expectation on this game. And let's remember that, sure, like probably the panel here and everyone in the chat, we probably all knew that the Calypso protocol was being created by the creator of Dead Space. But let's be real, like outside of us, like how many people really knew that? So
Yeah.
I think it's they probably needed more marketing. It's a new IP, like I said, and then at the end of the day, it it didn't impress as it should. Like the first, like everything I have seen, like the gameplay, trailers and all, I was super hyped for this game. But then,
Yep.
you know, and also the price too. I think it was $70. So I think they missed the mark there. As a new IP, they should have left it at 60. They should have promoted. I also think the title wasn't the best title. Like it was kind of like a long title. They should have gotten something a little bit more like, I don't know, something more catchy. But that's all my my take on why I believe it didn't do that well.
I feel like there's definitely something in a name, like you're saying, right? When you say Dead Space, like that sounds ominous. It sounds very dark. It sounds grisly. When you say the Callisto Protocol, it's like, I mean, yeah, it kind of sounds okay. Maybe it's got a little bit of like a Jason Bourne type of nature to it. Like, oh, we're enacting the Callisto Protocol. But it doesn't strike that same fear as something like Dead Space.
Yes.
So same thing as like Dead Island. Like that
Exactly.
gives you a very good idea as to what you're getting into, and it's going to be a mess.
Yeah,
But
what I heard when I first heard the Calypso Protocol, what I
Mhm.
thought was of like maybe you playing on a lab coat, doing some testing in some in the laboratory,
the science
the
simulator.
science simulator or something like that.
Yeah, I could see it. It's I agree with you though. Definitely something in a name. If you don't have a name that catches people's imagination or directs them right to it, that can be a problem. And I do agree with you. Like I don't feel like they pushed as hard about saying like, hey, this is coming from the original creator of Dead Space or one of the original creators or whatever. I feel like they didn't take the opportunity to push that as much as they could have. I also don't feel like the marketing was maybe as much as it should have been. I feel like maybe there's some other avenues, which goes to another question I was going to bring up, but I'll pose it to Crazy.
Oh,
In
before that,
regards to,
can I add one more
yeah,
thing that I had?
sure.
For me personally, like I was gonna buy this game day one, and what got me a little bit pissed was that it actually had some exclusivity there. And I was like,
Mhm.
wait, so I gotta pay the same price and I get less? So I was
Yeah,
like, you know what? I'm gonna hold off on this game and then I'll maybe later on I'll purchase it, which, maybe it was for the best.
Sour,
Yeah.
Sour, is there any possibility that maybe your interest in doing it also waned when you found out that some of the digital content that you could get in the deluxe was additional death animations that you wouldn't have at the beginning of launch?
It's like, what? Yeah, I was gonna add to that because I was gonna add a couple things, that was weird though. And
Yeah.
here's the thing though, and this is something that happened last year, and everybody's gonna agree with me. I mean, tell me one game that came out last year that did not have issues. I mean, pretty much all games have had issues, and you're paying $70 for this game, and you're getting save problems, you're getting graphical problems, you're getting a bunch of issues on a bunch of games last year. It was
Yeah.
intense. Last year, pretty much 90% of the games had problems. No joke. And so then you get the Callisto Protocol. It comes out, and all of a sudden you see they start doing the comparison side by side, and you see that only on the PlayStation 5 you see reflections, yet on the console, not PC, you don't see no reflections, no nothing. What do you think that's gonna do? That's gonna say, hey, I'm not gonna get this game. I'm just gonna hold off. I'm gonna wait. And then these guys, I don't know where, come out and address and say, oh no, we're gonna fix it. We're gonna start, we're gonna fix this. We're gonna put the reflections. We're gonna put all that stuff. But man, why are you saying this now? I mean, you came out with this game, right? Crunched at this game because I mean, I remember Sourblow telling me about a rumor that they were actually crunching. We're like, uh-oh, this is not gonna be good. When you crunch, it's never good. And
Yeah.
this is the result you get. I mean, look, the game had a bunch of errors. The game had a bunch of stuff. People saw them like, whoa, I'm not gonna buy this right now. And especially since the whole Activision Blizz thing is going on, right? people are noticing the stuff that's been going on, with the Sony things and everything. Now people are like, whoa, let me hold up a bit on this, because seriously, this is not cool that that only on the Sony side you get reflections and over here we don't. I mean, people just get mad when they see that, especially when you pay $70. I mean, really, I was one of them that I paid the 70. When I saw that, I was mad. I was like, man, I want my money back. But then when I saw the developer saying, "Oh, we're gonna fix," I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna hold it off. But I already learned my lesson. I'm just gonna wait. So I see the comparisons, see that everything works fine to buy the game. I'm not buying games, so I see everything is good. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I think I mentioned it previously. I think it was when we first talked about it and when it first came out. But you mentioned some of the save issues, some of those things. And man, I ran into some heinous ones like right off the bat. I think I was telling you guys that when I was playing, I got stuck in this one corridor where I ran out of ammo, or I had really low ammo, right? And so as I was going through this corridor, I tried to pick up some ammo, and instead of it telling me that my inventory was full, it it allowed me to pick up the ammo, but it just went into nowhere. Like it went into the black hole, right? So the inventory didn't have my ammo. My gun didn't have the ammo. I literally just picked up ammo. It disappeared. I couldn't pick it up again. I couldn't fix the inventory to pick up the ammo. So I got stuck in a section for days, I think it was, because I remember talking to you guys and be like, no, still haven't beaten this part, still stuck, still working on it. And at one point I decided, you know what, we're we're just going to go with this, and we're just going to change the difficulty of the game. Maybe that'll help. So I changed it from the normal to easy, thinking like, okay, this'll fix the situation, I can beat this battle. So I set it, and I played for another like half hour trying to just basically smash my head into the wall again and again to try and beat this portion. And I was like, man, even at easy, this game is brutal. So I go into the DLC character costume, because you have a different prison costume that you can wear if you got the special edition. So I changed those things, and when I jumped out of the game and came back into it the next time, it had defaulted all the settings. So my difficulty went back from easy to normal. The brightness changed back to default. My character skin was different. Like nothing was saving. And even the game saves, like you mentioned, the game saves wouldn't save. So I would save at a part because I was like, oh, I'm gonna get destroyed here, so I can go right back to it at least. And I saved the game, and it literally didn't even use my save. It just kicked me back to the checkpoint every time. So, there were some issues, to be fair. And I definitely don't think that helped them get to that 5 million mark that they were aiming for, right? Like that on its own, if you find out that you've got buggy, glitchy issues like that, it's going to affect the zeitgeist around a game. It's going to make it really hard for people to say, yes, let me pay you $70 so I can go into this experience and just want to uninstall the game because I'm just frustrated with how it's working, right? But yeah, I don't know. There's definitely some issues there that we're running into on that game, and hopefully it'll get taken care of over time. But one of the other things I wanted to kind of go off on real quick is just looking how like Callisto Protocol has done compared to something like High on Life. It had been mentioned by Mark James, which was one of the Callisto Protocol developers. He had said that they had considered putting the upcoming game into Game Pass, but as a single player linear game, it's really hard to be successful in those types of services, is what he said, what he stated. Meanwhile, High on Life came by and was like, hey, I'm going to eat your breakfast. I'm going to slap you in the face, and I'm going to be like, see ya. Because High on Life took the media by storm.
Yes.
Now, whether you liked the game or not, whether you like Rick and Morty or not, or any of Mike Royland's stuff or anything like that, or Justin Roiland, sorry, not Mike. Whether you like that or not, that game went nuts. It blew up. And it literally slaps Callisto Protocol right in the face for being like, no, Single player game just isn't going to work out on Game Pass. There isn't longevity there. High on Life disagrees. But before we shift on to the next topic, I did want to say, if there's a positive note to this whole situation with striking distance and Callisto Protocol and all that stuff, it's that you guys, we just got a new achievement that we can get on that game. You can get a whole whopping 20 points if you play through the New Game Plus. So, that takes care of all those issues with not adding people to the credits and maybe things being toxic and all that stuff. That just fixes all of that, right? Oh boy. Anyways, moving on. We talk about games that had some struggles. Let's go ahead and talk about Scalebound. Because some folks, God bless you for holding the dream alive, I guess, think that Scalebound is coming back. So according to Special Nick from Xbox Era, there was talk that Platinum Games might be working with Xbox again to try and bring back Scalebound, but it's super early, so there's no other info at this point. Maybe so there's talks about like, well, would they be starting from scratch if this is a legitimate thing, or would they continue off of the previous build, right? Obviously there's been all sorts of drama in this whole situation from start to finish. Back when the game was in development, after the game got canned, and all the way up until now, you still have folks like Hideki Kamiya coming out and apologizing for the cancellation. But initially, it was literally one of those things of like, whoa, we just need more time. We need more money. We need more time. The story has changed, obviously, as time's gone on. But speaking in a new interview on the Cutscenes YouTube channel, Kamiya spoke frankly about the development challenges that they had experienced with the Dragon-powered Xbox One exclusive, admitting that they weren't experienced enough at that point, which makes you wonder, like, where's the onus land on? Like, were they like those gentlemen that lied on the resume and were like, yeah, we're totally the guys for this. This is going to be that AAA top tier game for you because we can do it. When meanwhile they're like, oh crap, we have no idea what we're doing.
It's kind of like, sorry to interrupt you, but it's kind of like Crazy Lou. Like he lied in the resume. he told us he was the podcast expert, and now we're like, oh my god, we gotta we just gotta love him how he is.
So mean.
Wait, I have a resume.
That was a good one.
So mean.
It's isn't it LinkedIn?
Pretty close. Yeah.
Super close. It's LinkedIn.
Man.
Very.
It's LinkedIn. Oh,
kind of like Lincoln, but LinkedIn.
Oh, but I always thought it was LinkedIn.
But I like your version better. So yeah, going back to it though, obviously, it's again, so maybe it was the situation where they were like, yeah, we got this thing. We're totally going to deliver you this top tier quality product. Or potentially, I mean, you look at where Microsoft was at the time, and they were literally trying to just money hat and get some things out there. So obviously there is a responsibility for them to look into it and be like, okay, well, we need more status updates to make sure that this thing's on track, stuff like that. And when Phil Spencer wasn't in charge towards the beginning, when they would have been developing, I feel like there was not really that check-in, right? Like the folks that were in charge before Phil came in were not necessarily concerned about how they got the product, as long as they got the product. And I feel like it was probably a bit of a change for them when they had, Phil or some of the team starting to like actually have these check-ins with them and be like, hey, where are we at? What are we doing with this? That probably was a drastic change for them. But so obviously both sides have kind of come out over time in regards to like, hey, this was our fault. Platinum's actually been more vocal about how they weren't experienced enough for this. There was even a quote that was listed on there where he had said that he's sorry to the players who looked forward to it, and moreover, sorry to Microsoft, who had placed their trust in them as a business partner, which I would also argue a gigantic sum of money that they had also put in their hands for that product. But I think for me personally, and then I'm going to pass it off to you guys, but for me personally, I'm as mean as it sounds, I kind of want him to just bury it and do something more important or more beneficial than start this game back up. I feel like this is a fool me once, fool me twice type of scenario, and I just feel like if you throw that money back at this company again, you're going to get the same crap that you did. They haven't made that much since when they were originally going to bring out Scalebound. And one of the last games that they did was Bayonetta 3, which continued to get delayed and delayed and delayed. So it just feels like it's going to be a repeat occurrence if they do this. But Crazy, I want to know your thoughts on this. How credible do you think this rumor is?
How credible do you think it is? Oh my God. I mean, it just restarted again. I don't understand why this rumor just once in a while restarts and just boosts up, and everybody's like, "Oh, Scalebound, we want it back. Let's go!" Everybody gets excited. Same thing happened with Iceman this past couple of weeks. But yes, we do want a Quantum Break 2. Yes, we do. Right? Are we right about that? We do want that, though.
We absolutely
yes, we do.
Yeah, but we are right now 50-50 on the whole Scalebound thing because we know what actually happened. Right? When was it? 2016, 2017? I think it was 2016, right? That Phil said.
I think it was 2017 because
2017
Phil kind of jumped in right around 2016, 2017.
Yeah, so he pretty much said X to this. Goodbye, Scalebound. And the thing is, Microsoft was the one who took the big blame.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 years later, you see Hideki, what's his name? Hideki Kamiya. Okay, Hideki Kamiya, right? Sorry for butchering his name, but yeah, Hideki Kamiya. He came out and was like, what was it?
Continue.
It's lick it in though. Lick it in. What's wrong with it? It's lick it in.
Keep going. Keep going.
Okay. I'll keep going then. So he comes out 5 years later. It's like, oh, I want to work with you guys again. It's our fault. We did this. But why do you guys come up 5 years later? I mean, why didn't you come out at the first spot and say, hey, we're the ones to blame. We messed up. We did this. And just let Microsoft take all the blame. That's something I felt like it's messed up. On my side of things, I think it's messed up because if it's your fault, at least come on and say, yes, we couldn't make the game. We couldn't deliver what they wanted. So sorry, come out and say it. But just don't let the company take the blame by itself. I mean, wait 5 years later, now you want to work with us? But yeah, I'll be honest with you. If it does actually go, a lot of people will be excited. A lot of people will be happy. I mean, I'm for one, I will be really happy because I saw that when I saw the trailer, I was like, whoa, this looks cool. It looks awesome. But yes, at the same time, I want Microsoft to work on another thing like Sunset. I want them to keep on working on other things, to keep on bringing these new projects and this new stuff. Because again, trusting these guys to do this work again, in order to do that, you got to have like a head of Microsoft sitting right there, see if everything gets done the right way. If not, nope, I wouldn't put no money on there.
Let's also put in obviously the fact that, like, again, you even made the comment, right? 5 years later, now they're finally coming out being like, hey, sorry, that was our bad. You should totally work with us again. I know I've said it before, and I know it's just kind of my pessimistic, grumpy old man view, but I feel like, especially with their recent history, they're looking for a good cash opportunity. And so, you factor in where they are financially and how things have been, the fact that game ended up getting canceled, all those things. I bet you there was definitely a financial motivation for this as well. There was very much, dude, if we got back in with them, like Phil would hook us up. If we can give him a game, he would give us some money, right? So I think at the end of the day, there's definitely got to be some of that like financial greed on it as well. There's very much the desire to get that extra payday, especially if you see something like High on Life or something that comes out and just hits it out of the field, right? Like hits a home run. You look at that and you're like, dude, if we could get that, if we could get that guaranteed money so we could deliver them a banger, we need this. Let's do this now, right? But Sour, are you in favor for this game still being in some sort of existence, or are you against it? What's your preference one way or another?
Okay, well, I gotta be honest. First of all, I wasn't an Xbox gamer at the what was it, the 360 era where this game was announced, or was it Xbox One?
Xbox One.
Okay, well, at the beginning of the Xbox One, let's say I wasn't an Xbox gamer and I wasn't into console news or anything like that. So I didn't get to see all the hype about this game or anything like that. I actually knew about the game, once I started knowing more about Xbox, and all I heard was, that the game got canceled, the game looked pretty cool, and all that, blah, 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 etc. Where I got more information was when we actually had one of our guests, which I'm not going to mention his or her name because that person does not want to be tied their name with this game because they had a bad experience with this game. They were pretty hyped with this game, and unfortunately when the game got canceled, it kind of broke their heart. But I will say this, when that person did talk about the game, it said some of the behind the scene things about this game, I was pretty excited, and I was like, wow, like that game. And looking at Platinum Games' track record, like sure they have had some pretty bad games, like recently Babylon Fall, but they have made Bayonetta, they had made Vanquish, which I played thanks to Mr. John of Dark, great game. They made Nier Automata, which is an amazing game. If you haven't played that game, you should play it. They made Astral Change, which I haven't played it, but I heard great things about that game. So, they have made some good games. And the other thing is that if we look at Microsoft, Xbox, they seem to not have that much of a connection, on that side of the globe. They really need games that appeal to the Asian market. And I think working with Platinum Games, even though they had a bad experience with them, might open, doors that, right now they have closed. So I don't think it's a bad idea. And I also see that this game, it was being developed in Unreal Engine 4. So everything you worked on, it's not actually lost because you can move your assets from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5. So it's not like you really have to start all over from the beginning.
Sorry to cut you off, but check the sound because it sounds, chat is saying that it sounds like a little bit glitchy. So can you check that out real quick? Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, sorry about that. Let me see.
Check.
Well,
System check.
So while he's doing that, I think one of the things I do want to say is I agree with you. Like they don't have a lot in that side of the market, but one of the benefits that they have now, like obviously at that point in time, that would have been a way more critical step for them, right? At that point, they didn't have a presence. However, you look at what Phil has done, you look at what the team has done in regards to opening up those markets now, and the Microsoft and the Xbox that we're talking about when this game was around, when Scalebound was a thing versus what it is now is so much different because they've opened a ton of roads in regards to stuff with Atlas. You've seen all of the Yakuza games come over. Like you're seeing a lot of strides in the right direction now versus what they had at that point. Like it definitely would be, if they were still in that same situation now, this would be a win for them for sure because they'd probably be more desperate to get that going because if you don't have that presence, like, that is a thing for sure. But they had even mentioned the fact that they had a bunch of and you guys can correct me if you remember the details, but they had said that they have like hundreds or thousands of like games, be it independent and different sizes and stuff, being made in that Asian market that they were working on and that they were trying to get squared away for the ecosystem. So I think we're definitely in a different place. I don't think they're as wanting for a situation like this or as dire, right? Like, if they don't get something from this dev studio, they still have support in that market at this point, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, but well, hopefully, my audio is back and it's sounding good. I think maybe I got too close to the mic, but
Oh.
hopefully that was the issue. But I do think that Platinum Game, it does have a name, and I also believe that it's not the same thing. They're working with a bunch of indie developers, and they really didn't mention which developers they're working on. And I'm sure if most of them would have been big developers, they would have probably have mentioned it. So I don't think it's the same working, no disrespect to a lot of these indie developers, to working with them than to working with Platinum Games. And like I said again, if you already have part of the game already started and it's a passion project, why not finish this game, see how it goes, and you don't know, maybe this is what the studio needs. The studio probably needs an assurance that it can make its money back. And since Xbox has Game Pass, that might be the platform, and that might be the start of a partnership where, like, okay, like, you assure me you're gonna provide me with the money so I can develop the game, and the games will come to Game Pass. And if other studios on that side of the market, see that this game gets released and it gets gets people playing, people are talking about this game, so they are going to try it at least, then maybe that will open doors. Because a lot of people are still skeptical about Game Pass, so I think that might open avenues.
Sarah, I was gonna ask Sarah a question. I was gonna ask Sarah, but either way though, are you in favor? Do you want to see this game come up or no? Are you in favor for it or no?
No, I definitely want to see it come out. And here's another thing too. At the end of the day, like, it's not my money, being used. It's the money from Game Pass. By the way, crazy, I think the audio issue is from you, because I can hear the traffic from your house.
Yeah.
Oh my God! Sorry, guys.
It sounds like you're reporting live from the street.
Oh my God! Okay,
it's
guys.
Definitely not here.
Sour.
It's definitely not here.
Sorry, guys. I'm gonna tell you what's happening though, real quick. Sour, we're in the finals in baseball, right? You know how it gets, right?
Oh, so
yeah, that's why.
I know.
Yeah,
that's one.
Excuse.
Okay, I
yeah,
know.
Sorry, guys.
That's why my chat's blowing up.
So Sour, I do agree with you, and I'm not trying to dismiss it by any means, but I would say that they have gained more traction with bigger players too. Because you look at something, again, like Yakuza, all that stuff came to Game Pass. You look at Resident Evil, which has started to come to Game Pass, and they've made some deals here and there on that as well. Like, yes, they don't have the trust fully in those markets by any means, but they are bringing on some very top tier stuff nowadays. Oh, Crazy Louie, reporting live from the corner of 12th and Figueroa.
I don't know if you can see that. Wait, let me turn it.
No, you're moving the camera too much.
It's fine.
Sorry, guys. You see right there? All of that right there is people. Oh, wait, yeah. Right over there. Yeah, people watching the game. Oh, wait, no, my bad.
Strange though, because I can't hear it now.
Okay, sorry, guys. Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, I do agree with you. Like, they obviously do still have a ways to go. Like, it's not something that's going to be a battle that they win overnight. You look at how many consoles that they've started to sell now versus what they used to in the past, and it's like it's not a sprint, right? It's a marathon. So it's going to take time, but there are some of those relationships that are starting to form now that were not there at the same time when Scalebound was actually part of the conversation.
Yeah, that too. But also, you got to remember that a lot of these games, they are coming to Game Pass, but they usually don't come day one, especially from that market. So I
Yeah.
think if Scalebound was to be done, it would be day one, and that that would be a test for them.
Yes and no, because that would be a Microsoft published game. So of course it's going to come to Game Pass day one.
Yeah, but it's gonna be developed by Platinum Games. So
Yes.
other studios from Japan, from Asia, they're gonna be looking closely into that, and that can actually open avenue not only for day one Game Pass, but also for them being interested in, like, hey, Microsoft, like, maybe we want to be part of you guys.
Maybe. I mean, Microsoft's going to have to get something sorted out with the Actibliz situation before they can ever consider actually bringing new talent into the the fold, unfortunately. Sadly. But we bounce from that and we actually move to the next topic, which is, whether you believe that Scalebound's coming back or not, something that I think we can all agree on is Ubisoft has had one heck of a time recently. And it kind of feels like, maybe Scalebound will come back, but I'm kind of worried about if Ubisoft will come back, because it feels like they are really going through it. It feels like we're seeing another version of EA all over again. I feel like we're seeing the same thing where EA took a real hit there for a while, and they're starting to dig themselves out a little bit now. You're starting to see some better games come out in the process. They took some of the feedback. I don't feel like Ubisoft is there yet. And there's a lot of factors as to why this is, right? You've got games like Skull and Bones that has been in development for, God, forever. A fortnight. And you look at also the management, which we will touch on as well. But I worry about Ubisoft. So diving into it, we'll just go ahead and we'll just jump right on to Skull and Bones to start off with, right? Why not?
The Sea of Thief killer.
Wait,
yes, exactly.
Sea of Thieves killer? How?
That's what they said.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyways, the Sea of Thieves killer started life as a multiplayer focused expansion that they had actually made based off of Black Flag's ship combat, right? So it expanded into a bigger MMO like pirate game of its own. So then they separated it off. They created like their own thing with this. Now, a decade later, from when the Assassin's Creed Black Flag came out, and following the 2017 reveal and multiple delays on Skull and Bones, Ubisoft's online pirate sim is still missing. Beyond Good and Evil 2 says hi. Side note, Skull and Bones has reportedly already cost Ubisoft $120 million, and that price tag is only going to increase, as there were 400 people working on the game as of 2019. At this point, the cost seems to be keeping the project alive. Like, they seem to still, I don't know who they're convincing and what they're saying to keep this thing moving, but for some reason someone thinks that it still has some spirit. It's got some play left in it, so it's continued, right? Interestingly, a deal with Singapore government may also be providing life to the or
There's your
to the
answer right
support of
there.
this.
That's why it's still alive.
I didn't want to, be like, this is the main reason, but deep pockets. Anyways, Ubisoft Singapore reportedly receives generous subsidy.
Mix up podcast. Did I say it right? I always get it mixed up.
You got it.
Okay, so I was listening to them, and something interesting that they were talking about the actual game was that what was the identity of Skull and Bones? Because what is the purpose? Like, you go out on the ship and you upgrade the ship, but when you get to the islands, all you do is get stuff to keep upgrading the ship. And I was thinking to myself, like, Sea of Thieves, which looks like it looks like a much simpler game. It looks, pretty cartoonish and silly, but it has a purpose. Like, you're out there to be the pirate you want to be, and you play the game, the way you want to be. And the main objective is to kind of be the best pirate, but you also don't have to play the game like someone else played it. Like, you can play different stuff, but it has a purpose. Like, you feel like you're out. You go out and you go out to do something. Whether you like doing the story, whether you like stealing loot from other guys, PvP, whatever you like doing. But there's the purpose. But this game, like if you kind of it just feels like what it should have been. That I'm sure Crazy is going to talk about it. Like, should have been part of an Assassin's Creed game, but
yes,
yeah,
yes, and to tag on to what you're saying, yes, there's definitely an issue in regards to the purpose, right, or the identity, as it were. And that's the problem with this game is, as we've found out different things, like, obviously they've tweaked it a little bit as time's gone on, but originally you didn't even get out of the ship. So you were basically like playing as the ship or the people on the ship. But what's the identity of those people on the ship? What's the purpose? What's the identity? What is the thing that's supposed to grab you and bring you in and make you interested in playing that, right? Like,
yes.
Short of following the usual Ubisoft protocol or however their design layout, right? Where you're running around and you're basically doing a bunch of tower captures or island captures in this situation. Where's that draw to bring someone in on this game? And I know recently they had stated that there was actually, I believe, I forget who was stating it, but someone that had access to a beta or something they had tested. And one of the new things that was coming out was the fact that they actually had out of ship activity as well, right? Getting off on the island, doing stuff like that. But again, where is that? Where are they showing us that? Because we've never seen a trailer that showed that there's an actual identity tied to you doing these things. Like, it and that is obviously a problem on its own. Crazy. So after the 6 delays, being the grouchy old man I am, why the heck has this game not been canceled?
Oh my god! I mean, it should. I mean, it should be canceled. I mean, it's insane. So much delays in just one game. 6 delays. Oh my god! And not only that, this game the idea came out in 2013. I mean, we're now what, 10 years later, and still has not come out. Oh my god! I mean, seriously.
So yeah, I mean, that was in regards to when Black Flag had first come out, and this had obviously started into development like shortly after. So I don't think it's a full 10 on this, but they did show it to us in 2017. So even then, they had it baking for a couple of years previous. So you're still talking like 7 or 8 years at least, for sure.
But it's a funny thing though. We forget about it, and we only remember it when Ubisoft comes out and talks about it. Because I'll
just
be
like
honest,
Beyond Good and Evil.
Yeah, I mean, there's fans about Beyond Good and Evil, and they say, "Oh, where is it?"
Yeah.
And
this does not have that.
I never played the first one. I never played the first Beyond Good and Evil, but man, It's sad that they
Good.
still did they show a trailer for Beyond Good and Evil 2? Did they?
They've shown, yeah,
There's
they showed a trailer.
Oh
They
my
showed
god.
a trailer which was obviously not in engine by
But
any
but
stretch of the imagination.
but here's the thing that scares me though the most. If you guys did not notice, out of all the stuff they talk about, I mean, they talk about Mario Rabbits, they talk about Just Dance, they talk about Assassin's Creed, all that stuff. No news on Splinter Cell. Splinter
Yeah.
Cell has been so silent. I mean, literally,
Yes.
it's been like Sam Fisher, quiet, sneaking up, nothing going on with Splinter Cell.
Hmm.
So, is it something that they're saving to announce, or is Splinter Cell in trouble? That is
You know,
something I ask myself all the time because I remember they canceled the Splinter Cell VR, but the Splinter Cell game is it in trouble?
crazy. I'm really happy that you decided to throw that my way, because that actually goes to another part of the question that I was going to give you is, in this situation, have we potentially lost out on better games that got canceled amidst trying to keep this one afloat? Sorry, I
Yeah.
very
Uh,
very happy with my pun intended for my
yeah.
fellow pirate friends
I mean,
out there.
let's talk a little bit about Ubisoft. I mean, let's talk about what was great about Ubisoft. I mean, if
Yeah.
we go back then to PlayStation 2, when the Xbox came out, all those games, you had Rainbow Six. Remember all those old Rainbow
Mhm.
Six? You had Ghost
The good
Recon,
ones, yes.
all those great games. I mean, and then we went to the 360 era. One of the best multiplayer was Ghost Recon Advanced Warfare. I played the heck out of that multiplayer. Then you had the Rainbow Six Vegas and all that stuff. And then came to Xbox One, where seriously, I don't know what the heck happened to Ubisoft right there. Xbox One. Remember when we saw the trailer of Watch Dogs? I mean, all of us were excited. Let's get Watch Dogs. When we saw the full game, like, what the hell is this? This is not what we saw in the trailer.
Yeah.
Same thing with the Division. The Division was the game when I saw the trailer. I was like, hey, let me go run. Let me get my Xbox One because I want to play the Division. When the
Yep.
Division came out, I'm like, this is what I'm not expecting this. Same, okay. Ghost Recon Wildlands, it was good, no doubt, it was good. But Breaking Point, a lot of errors, a lot of problems. And
Yep.
ever since that, everything has just gone downhill for Ubisoft. And that's another thing, though. We only seen one thing about Avatar. We have not seen anything else about Avatar either.
Yeah.
So, what's
To
going on?
to be fair with Ghost Recon, I will give them, because I have heard, like, I haven't dove back into it a bunch, but Breakpoint, it sounds like they have gotten it to a pretty good spot at this point.
Oh,
But when it launched, yeah, I mean, it was catastrophic at the time when it first launched. But you do bring up Avatar, which I was hearing, I think it was on Colt's show, they were talking about it, even the fact that, like, you missed the opportunity for that thing to blow up. Like, if you had brought Avatar out at the same time the movie came out, you would have made a ton of money. But where are we? Where are we with this game? Where is it at this point? Like, this is that whole thing of, like, a too little too late, like,
yeah.
the ship has sailed, Avatar is released, and so what? Is it going to come out when the next Avatar comes out?
Yeah,
Or are you
because
just going to release it on and off cycle?
the question is when is it going to come out though? Because we
Yep.
don't know if it's going to come out for Avatar 3 or Avatar 4, which Avatar 3 is going to be 2024. I mean, seriously, I don't know what the heck is going on with Ubisoft, but they are in trouble. They are in trouble because again, we have not heard anything. We just saw one day the tree when the Splinter Cell came up,
Yeah.
but we did not see anything else. We don't see any talks. We don't see nothing. Look at all these Assassin's Creed project, which okay, it's cool. They had announced it, but they stay quiet. Same thing. What was another game they were talking about? Prince of Persia too. They were talking about Prince of Persia, trying to bring it back, and no way. Okay, you guys hear the crowd? Okay, yeah. Told you guys, it's Spaceball. Sorry guys, sorry about that.
Continue.
But yes, it's insane on how Ubisoft, is literally just not focusing on all these great games just to deliver Skull and Bones. Because I said this once and I say this again. In order to deliver Skull and Bones, and especially that price tag of 70, they would have done Assassin's Creed Black Flag remake and add that multiplayer in there, and it would have been great. I mean, it would have been top notch. Because really, if I would have saw that, I would have bought that game again, play Assassin's Creed Black Flag, and play the multiplayer because I would have been excited for it. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I think I think there have obviously been a lot of missteps with, just like what we were talking about with the Singapore government potentially having some of the backing and stuff on some of their games and funding. Like you look at this and it feels like Skull and Bones is something that they view as going to be like their golden goose, right? Like you got to figure the gotcha mechanics that they have in this thing, they must feel are top tier and are going to return them a ton of money on their investment. Like the ROI must be really good, or at least they think it is, because otherwise, why would you put so much money into this? And again, like the question I asked you is like, did we see other games, like really potentially good games? Because we don't know all the games that have gotten canceled. We've heard that there were some unannounced and stuff like that. Did we miss out on other better games because financially they're driven to make something that just gives them an ROI and gives them a bunch of money from gotcha mechanics or, microtransactions, stuff like that, right? And that actually does bring me to a point, right, is like they're probably trying to approach it like Fortnite and some of the other success stories out there. They think that they can do it like this and they'll make a ton of money. Sour, is there a way that this game can appeal to more gamers? Do you think like making those transactions, making it more like a Fortnite, or changing different mechanics and stuff to make it like more viable for a broader audience, do you think there's really a way to make this appeal to a broader base, basically?
Honestly, from what I've seen, I think I think there isn't, because I think they had a vision for this game,
Hmm.
and then when they noticed that it's not what gamers actually wanted, they are trying to do tweaks and stuff, but I think that the idea they had, it's completely opposite to what us gamers really want. Like, if you're gonna make a game about pirates, like, let us be pirates. If
Yeah.
or what are you trying to do? Is this a ship battle royale game? Like, what are you trying to make? Like, you have to address what you're trying to make. And if it's a ship battle royale, to be honest, like, it will appeal to some people, but I don't think it's gonna be like a you know, massive crowd or anything like that. I think if they would have went, the pirate route, being that there were many people interested in Sea of Thief, but they didn't like the cartoonist graphic,
Mhm.
maybe you could have gotten an audience. Because look
Yep.
how much of an audience Sea of Thief has. I mean, it's grown pretty big after all, after updating the game and all that. But honestly, this game, like, you will have to shift the whole direction of the game in order to make it a Sea of Thief, which I don't think I'm not a developer, but I believe that's not an easy task right there.
No, no,
Hmm.
changing the
No.
course like that and opening it up to all those people would require a lot of drastic adjustments, I would think. Crazy, what were you gonna say?
I just feel like this game is trying to make like a RoboCop pirate game. That's what I feel like it's trying to do. I mean, look,
What?
seriously. I mean, you got this ship with medals, guns, bazookas. I mean, you have what is it? Ed 09, or is it E09? I don't forgot his name.
Ed 209.
Ed 209. I mean, literally, that's what the ships look like. Seriously, with all this metal hunk and all that stuff putting on, it's
you, you,
insane.
you know what else they could have went? What route they could have went? Because this game, you know what this game really reminds me of? It reminds me of an MMO called Arch Age that I used to play. I actually
Mm.
spent lots of time and lots of
So
hours in that game, and it had ship battles. And this is what this game reminds me of, that aspect of the game when you got on the ship and you did the ship battle. But only the ship battle, I don't know if people would just be interested in on just that. Like, you gotta give me
You
other
gotta
things.
you gotta have more.
Like Arch
Yeah.
Age, like, I used to love that game because you used to do like you had so many profession, and you had like it was a pretty intense like MMO. Like, you had so many things to do. But
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, maybe that's part of their stance, or maybe that's why we're seeing this long delay. Is like maybe they're trying to shift it to more of that style or broaden that.
But oh, I was gonna ask you guys a question though. I mean, when I looked at the trailer, I remember the ship had a flaming cannon. Do pirates did it use back then flaming cannons?
Yeah,
Like a fire thing, to burn other ships.
yeah. Haven't you ever
They did.
seen like they light off the fire or light off the cannonballs?
Oh, I know that out of the cannonballs, the cannonball goes out, but I'm saying like a flamethrower. They have flamethrowers in that game.
I would imagine there were probably some liberties taken.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
gonna Google that right
it's a
now.
video game at the end of the day. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, if you're gonna make a RoboCop pirate simulator, you're gonna have to take some liberties. So, um, but yeah, so talking obviously about some of these issues and stuff, and going back to Ubisoft specifically, not just Skull and Bones, they've officially canceled, like we were talking about, they have canceled 4 major video games, including Splinter Cell VR. Yes, they view that as a major game. Ghost Recon Frontline, and 2 unannounced projects, like we were kind of discussing. The news arrived during the company's Q1 fiscal year 23 earnings call, where hefty cost-cutting measures were announced. And this goes into some of the other issues that we have going on right now, because obviously a lot of you have heard, and if you haven't, I mean, you'll hear it pretty quick. Union workers at Ubisoft Paris have actually been called to strike in response to CEO Yves Guillemot's comments, of which this on its own was a whole different hellscape scenario. So I'll read it real quick. But this email went out to the employees at Ubisoft. Basically, like, I guess his version of rallying the troops. I don't think he's a very good moral. I don't think he's a very good speaker. If this was his like motivational boost to the team. But here it goes. So, today more than ever, I need your full energy and commitment to ensure we get back onto the path of success. I'm also asking that each of you be especially careful and strategic with your spending and initiatives to ensure we're being as efficient and lean as possible. Later in the email, he continued by putting on even more pressure to the staff, saying that the ball is in your court to deliver this lineup on time and at the expected level of quality, and show everyone that what we are capable of achieving. And that, if you want to look at that quote and check it out and read more on it, you can actually go on. I actually sourced that from Insider Gaming. It was an article done by Matt Straw. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of conversations in regards to this, and even from the workers that are called the strike on this, is they're like, the ball is in our court, and we're supposed to make all these cost cutting tactics and all these things. Yet you guys got bonuses or didn't see any garnishing of your wages at the high level. So like it's our problem because we're the low man on the totem pole, and you're just going to sit back and enjoy the money as we actually succeed. It's very tactful to send an email like that to your employees. I guess the big question as reading all these things and seeing all of these things is, guys, what the heck is happening at Ubisoft? Like, what did they get just too greedy and think that if they made all these games that were more microtransaction based, or faster development times, or whatever, that like if they release all these it's just going to solve their problem? Did they decide that getting rid of characters we like Sam Fisher, and basically putting them on the side well all these other crappy games come out, like is that the path forward to them? What are they thinking? What is going on? Louis, what's your take?
I mean, honestly, so the way the way he is handling that company, because there's something that I always tell myself: in order to run a business, you got to pay your distributor first, then your employees, then think about myself as an owner. That's how a way a company should always work. But he's right now just thinking about himself, then everything else. And I'm gonna say something though, those workers are tired. I mean, they are being, like they're being underpaid, they're being crunched, and they're telling me, hey, you have to have a positive attitude. I mean, seriously, you have to do something and try to fix your work environment so all these games can get delivered. Because these guys literally, I think they're just tired of working all this stuff and not getting paid. And seriously, they're just tired. I mean, they're done. I mean, we don't want to do this. We want to get our money, want to do this, and this guy is just not paying them enough, which is just wrong. And crunching them for these games, nah, not even worth it. I mean, seriously, you're even canceling all the big titles. You're canceling big games. You're doing this, since you already got money invested in Skull and Bones, which we know if it comes out, could it be a success? Could it not be? We don't know that yet. We don't know that yet because seriously, the way we're seeing it's 10 years in the making for this game,
Yeah.
and we're having our doubts. We're having our doubts. Not only that, it's been just negative stuff coming out of there. You got Mario Rabbits not doing so well. You got Just Dance also not doing so well. That's another game that they have to give it a rest, please. It's
Yes,
every
they do.
year.
It
Yeah.
should.
Just Dance every year. I mean, what's gonna be the new dance? The Louis dance or something? I mean,
They
seriously.
Yeah.
they have. Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
Oh,
Sam.
I was gonna say real quick because I purchased. I think it was the 2022.
Yeah.
I think that should be a game. As soon as I saw that game, I'm like, why is the game coming every year? Like, this should be a game that it comes out once, and you simply update it every year. If you want to charge like a $10 DLC, then go ahead and so do
Go
it.
ahead.
But
Yeah.
but not every single year. That's nonsense. And
That
uh,
was yeah.
another
And
suggestion that I have for them is or maybe I'm wrong, but maybe they have this, but they should have a peripheral for consoles. I don't know if they have it for PC. I think I've seen PC player use things like this, where you have like a platform and you actually dance with that or something. I don't know, or some mechanic where you actually where you're not using your phone. I think that's a little bit silly. I don't know.
Yeah.
because I would say something though. You're right, Sourblow. I mean, and they will make more money because they say, okay, like for example, look at Shakira's new song with PK. Everything that's going on with PK, right? I mean, you can add that. That you can add that extra right now and say, okay, with a couple like 10 or 15 more songs, they charge $10 or $20, and that's something
That's a
you can
horrible
you can
idea right
do.
there.
What to
Yeah.
to
No,
to
no.
put the to add this
Just every year, just add a season
or
pass.
but
New
a
a new
season pass, yeah,
roster.
a new
Yeah, or at
roster,
least
something like that.
every 6
Yeah.
months at least.
Yeah, they should go. They should do this. They should do the Destiny thing. Have Just Dance out there for free, and if people want to pay for dances, let them pay for it. Because again, how many dances are there? Seriously, like I said, they're gonna do a Louis dance or something. Because what
No one
else is
wants to
out
do a
there?
Louis dance.
No.
Heck yeah, we want a Louis dance.
No.
Hashtag Louis dance.
No.
Let's make
No.
it happen. Heck yeah, we want that. But like I said though, I don't know what's going on with Ubisoft. I think, like the thing that I see in my head is that they just did not invest in time for the new technology because like I said, look at Xbox One, the way they showed the trailers, and all of a sudden, when you saw the game, it just went downhill. It was just horrible, not the same way as the trailers. And yet we're now in this generation, what have we seen from them? We have now seen pretty much nothing, just Watch Dogs, wasn't it?
No, they actually the beginning they
And
released like 4 games.
Yeah.
they did.
Far
Oh yeah,
Cry.
Far Cry. Yeah,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
Far Cry was beautiful. Far Cry did an
It was.
excellent job. It was beautiful. But Far Cry always looked good. But Watch Dogs. I don't know. I did not see the game. If you guys have played it, I don't know
It's good.
what your thought.
It,
It's
yeah,
good.
it
Yeah, it's
didn't
good.
look bad. It didn't look bad.
Yeah. But
Okay.
and this does go back to something that you stated is like when it comes to the game engines and stuff too. That's something that I think right now they're kind of in an overhaul where like they have to rework those engines and stuff, and I think that's
Yeah.
where we're seeing issues. Is you look at Watch Dogs, right?
I don't
Watch
think
Dogs.
that's the main issue. But go ahead.
Well,
So,
that's
I got
I'm
the
sure that there
answer
was
for you guys.
I'm sure that that was some of it.
oh Lord,
Because
here
you
comes.
look at something like Watch Dogs, right? And the optimization when that thing actually came out was all over the place. And granted, they got it to a point where you could actually have a decent ray tracing experience on the console and stuff like that. But a lot of these dev tools and stuff that they've used have been the same for a good grip of time. These games have been the same thing over and over again. I bet you they're kind of due for a refresh, which is also going to be very expensive for them. So they're probably trying to hold off on some of that as well.
Because here's a question I want to ask you guys though. Are we seeing pretty much the same thing as what's happening in Square? Because I'm gonna tell you something though. I don't. Every time I see a Square game, I don't feel like it's been updated for the last 10
Yeah.
years. I mean, I think every time I see a Final Fantasy game, I feel like I'm seeing a Final Fantasy from 360 to now. I think I may be wrong, but I'm pretty much seeing the same thing. I remember another game, what's it called, that was from Square? I think it was Just Cause. I was like, oh my God, it looks like the 360 Just Cause.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
I mean, and I see that. I see that. And it's insane. I see like Square did not invest in new tech, and pretty much I see Ubisoft is practically the same way. They did not invest in new engines or anything. And you're right, Sally. I think they need to,
Or
reinvent themselves and push something new.
or upgrade them to a
Yeah.
more modern version, because there's some issues there that could be fixed probably, and they just haven't approached it. But Sour, you were going to say something?
Yeah. I think, everything you guys said, they're all valid points. But I think the root of the problem is the X. No, I'm kidding. The root of the
It's a,
problem is honestly,
Oh, is
honestly,
the Series S
the Series
the
S.
Series
potato?
S?
The
Okay.
potato?
The potato. No,
Yeah.
but all serious. The root of the problem, I believe, is that Ubisoft has. The first thing is they have a bunch of studio which have no identity. They're all Ubisoft Utah, Ubisoft Japan. You get the
Yep.
point.
Yep.
And the other thing is that they're all working on the same game. It's not like you have a
Yep.
studio that's actually focused on this one game, that they're passionate about this game, and they want to create this game. So
Yep.
when you have a bunch of chef in the kitchen, I don't think you're gonna get a great meal, and I think
Nope.
that's the main issue, and probably it's also the issues why they're having issues with their game engines. Um, they also salary, because they have so many employees too. Like I remember when I was looking up, when there was a rumor that Ubisoft could be bought up. When there was that big rumor that Microsoft is after a big publisher. I think it might have been before Bethesda or right after Bethesda, where it was rumored they were after another one. When I look at the amount of employees, I was like, no, Ubisoft is out of the questions. Like they had more employees than Bethesda, Xbox
Yeah.
Studios, all put together. I think even if you added Activision Blizzard, even all of them together, they have more employees, which that is insane.
So
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you guys something too, because the other day, I sat down and I said, let me do a little bit of math. I was like,
No,
let me
don't
research
start with
something.
your
Oh,
math.
no.
No,
No,
don't
no,
start
no,
your math.
no.
Don't start with your math.
Listen,
No.
wait, but
We want
no,
but listen,
we want
don't-
wait.
we want no
No, no,
contraction.
no. I have a good point though. I have a good point.
we don't have
Let me
time
bring
for
up.
your Louis
No,
math today.
no math.
Let
No
me
math,
bring
Lou.
up a
No
good
math,
point. Let me
Lou.
bring up a
Time
good
out.
point.
Time out, Lou. No math.
Wait. Let me bring up a good point though. I'm saying I did it to myself. I'm not gonna talk about the numbers or anything. But wait, I checked out how many games. I was like, why is Square in such a financial issue when you have Final Fantasy, which is actually a big popular title? And so here's the thing though, Square main titles have 16 or 17. I don't know how many main titles they have. And you know how many Final Fantasy games are out there? 95. 95 Final Fantasy games are out there. I'm not kidding you. So you got 78 spin-offs, which I'm gonna tell you something though. Are the spin-offs as great as the main games? That is a question, right? So let's bring back to Ubisoft right now. Is Ubisoft pretty much the same thing, working on a lot of crappy games instead of focusing on big main titles that, hey, why don't we work on a new Rainbow Six game, which we would have loved instead of this multiplayer thing, which, okay, it's cool, but we don't want this. We want a Vegas. We want, how Rainbow Six came, from its roots. Because I'm going to tell you something, EA changed its approach on games this generation. Last generation, how many single players were out there? Pretty much nothing compared to this one. I mean, this one they're just spitting out. I mean, you got Dead Space coming out. You got Star Wars, and thank God for the Jedi Fallen Order, the first one. And I hope, Sour, and it comes true. I hope they do work on a Titanfall 3 because it does deserve to come back with part 3.
Definitely.
But yeah, they changed a little bit, and so like I said, should Ubisoft also just work on those main titles, work on those main games, and bring up such good content they have instead of working on all this stuff. Like I said, same thing with Skull and Bones. You want to bring Skull and Bones? Crap. Why don't you bring one of your greatest Assassin's Creed games, remaster or remake it, which is Black Flag, and add this game to it so we can be excited and pay those $70.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Also, one last thing though, its marketing is horrible. Ubisoft's marketing, I think, is one of the worst for me right now. That's another thing. But yeah, go Sour.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, going back, sure, they can stick with, the main franchise that we love, but at the end of the day, if they don't have studios that have an identity and that actually care for these games, that's a big problem. I think first they need to fix that internally. They need to make teams of studios. You're gonna have this team. You guys work on the division if that's what you're passionate about. They also need to that's very important for me. You have to be passionate for the project, because if you're not passionate, then it's like if you're working on something and you don't care about it, you're not gonna put your best effort on it. So, divide the teams and have them work on things they're passionate. And I bet you just by doing that alone, that we're going to see much better results.
So I wanted to ask you guys another question is, do you think that Ubisoft, same thing with Square, needs to grab everything and just reboot, refresh itself, like you were saying, Sour, hey, let me just divide this team. Say, where do you want to work? Where do you want to work? Let's do this. Oh, instead of Ubisoft Japan, let's call Ubisoft Division. Let's call Ubisoft 6 or Ubisoft Cry. Something like that, just to give them an identity, right?
Well,
Why don't we do that?
The name is not the main issue, but it's just hilarious how they call each other. Ubisoft.
Oh yeah, you're Japan.
Ubisoft,
you're China. No, but I was just setting an example. Like, get these people, to work on what they want to work and bring out these great titles, because I'm telling you, they got good, awesome titles. They need to bring back. Like I said, Rainbow Six needs to be revived. Not this multiplayer thing. Okay, it's cool. We love it. But we want it back. We want the single player. We want that experience,
Yes.
Because we miss those type of games.
Crazy. We know you're crazy, and I gave my sour take, but silent. Even though you're silent, we want to know what you think about this.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say that I like both of your takes with this. The thing that I agree with a lot, and you mentioned it, you're like, I have the solution. I definitely agree with you. The fact that they need to focus those dev studios on specific projects, because if you look at these games, you look at Far Cry, the newest Far Cry, there's like 32 different dev studios involved in the game.
That's crazy.
Which it's great to have the extra support, but the problem is like, it goes back to what you were talking about, identity. And if these dev studios don't have an identity, they're like, hey, this is what we are working on, this is the game, like you're never going to see that passion come out for a game the same way as if you have someone who's dedicated to it directly. You look at someone like Playground Games that was doing Forza Horizon, and they took very fine care of their baby, right? Because like it was their baby. Same thing with Turn 10, Forza Motorsport. Like they put in the time, and they craft a very specific game, and that is their baby. and they're not shifted off to do support for some other studio all the time, stuff like that. I think that makes a really big difference. It really does. And I would argue it probably benefits and helps the morale a lot too, because if you don't have, it's like when you work for a company and you don't have a home base, right? Or if you didn't have a house and you literally just stayed at motels and hotels and stuff all the time throughout your day to day, you don't feel based. You don't feel grounded in a very specific area. You don't feel like you have a comfort zone, right? And so if these guys are constantly shifted into these different projects all the time, they're never going to get into a comfortable flow that they enjoy, that they like. And if they did, like if you do like what you're saying, where you designate them to specific projects and stuff, I think that would help the morale a lot.
Definitely.
Because keeping people moving to different projects every couple moments or every cycle, like they're just never going to get a good stride. And I think if we saw that ownership taken on those specific dev studios and be like, this is our project, we're doing this game, we're doing this thing, I think that would go a long ways for sure. And to Crazy's point, yes, like please, I'm sorry to all those folks that enjoy it, but I give zero craps about that new Rainbow Six. I don't care about having different operators and all that crap. I don't care. I'm sorry. Give me back the old Rainbow Six. Give me back just having a character and I could change the weapon loadout and all that stuff. I could customize my character, but guess what? I don't care about operators. I do not care.
You remember how when the whole Vegas started, you grabbed your rope, you climbed down the windows, broke in there, just guns blazing, breaking everything. You actually felt like you were part of a special ops team, man. It was awesome.
And
it was awesome.
And I would argue, honestly, and I obviously Ubisoft's not going to hear this from me, but the thing that I would want them to know, as someone who's been a fan of those games for all these years, is like Crazy's talking about. When we were playing Vegas 2, stuff like that. When we broke into those windows after we dropped down through, we were designating to each other what our roles were. We're like, okay, I'm going to get the front. You go over here, block the doors. You do all that stuff.
Yes.
Don't give me an operator and tell me what my lane is and tell me to stay in my lane. Let me choose what I want to do. We are gamers. We can figure it out amongst our team of friends. I don't need some stupid class to tell me what I'm going to be on that match. I think it's dumb.
It was co-op too, man. That was, all that stuff. Vegas was just special. I'm telling you. I remember just, like I said, breaking those windows, using the gadgets too. It was fun using gadgets like those fire where these guys are. Let's mark these guys. Let's do this. Let's do that. It was just, Sour, did you ever play Vegas?
I played Vegas, but I didn't play much like multiplayer.
Oh, no, not the multiplayer. No, it wasn't multiplayer. We're talking about the storyline, the main story.
Oh, yeah. But you mean like co-op?
Yeah, you play co-op.
Yeah, I didn't.
You play co-op.
We'll have to go back and play that. That is back compat.
It is
back compat.
I'm down.
It is.
I'll be down.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's worth it. The graphics are awful now.
I remember I had Vegas 2. There's a Vegas 2, right? Yeah, that's the one I had. Rainbow Vegas.
And it was really good. It was arguably a very good step up because they brought a lot of, again, like you look at that and it's a perfect example. It was a team that had created a game and then they refined the vision. They brought more to the table and they added more to it. They added quality of life to it versus like some of the stuff that you see now. Because again, if you don't have passion in the project and you don't have a place to call home as your like main job or main game that you're working on, like how are you going to get passionate about it?
Yeah.
But that is, I think, all I have for it. And unless you guys have anything else, I think it might be time to start bringing this plane in for a landing.
Want to?
Yes.
Or do you guys want to talk a little bit about Halo or should we do it for next week?
No.
It's fine.
I think we're okay.
It's fine.
Okay.
I think we ended on a pretty positive note. I think we're good.
Right. Well, it's time to take this plane down, Captain, and let us thank, first things first, our chat who kept this thing rocking and rolling, man. You guys are always awesome hanging out with us this week. You guys hang out awesome here. Had a lot of fun. Sour, let's start with you, brother. Please tell everybody where they can find you.
Well, you can find me in Twitter at Sourblow18. You can also find me on the Xbox, Sourblow18, but you're going to have to wait a few days, at least like 3 days, 3 more days to find me there because unfortunately I can't connect with friends for a few days. And you can also find me here Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 4 p.m. Pacific in the Xbox International Podcast.
You know why you can't connect, right? Pow, chicken, pow, wow.
The reason, I'll explain the reason real quick.
Sourblow got his own timeout.
I was trying to play a joke on Crazy Lou. I was playing Metro, and there's a scene where I recorded. I didn't share it to nobody, and all of a sudden I forgot to share it with Lou. Because I was gonna send it to him to toy around and play around, and then unfortunately, I got a message that I was suspended. So I can still play, fortunately, but unfortunately I can't play with friends. I was trying to play Halo the other day and I couldn't.
Keep on saving pow chicka pow wow on your thing. Keep on saving that. Good job.
It was in the video game. Actually, Silent will be we'll check that part out. He will get to that scene. He will get to that scene soon.
Okay, I thought you meant that Silent will also load that up, but I think he will not load that up.
well now he knows he can't record that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you for testing the waters for us. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Silent. Yeah, he did. Silent. Tell everybody where they can find you, brother.
Awesome. Well, yeah, you can find me all over the social media at Silent Cypher or something to that extent. If you search, you'll find me. I'm always there. You're gonna know by my Agent 47 bald-headed avatar. It's pretty easy to find me. But in regards to some of the areas I've been playing around with more recently, I'm diving back into TikTok again. I had a little mishap with one of the last videos I put together and it deleted it as I was in the process of editing it. So I pulled a Crazy Louie.
What did you upload it, huh?
Well, you see, Louis sent me the final copy of the Evil Dead video finally. So
I see. Now you're gonna be picking up the Evil Dead video, huh?
Just redirecting.
Okay.
But yeah, so you can find me there. I'm playing around with some stuff there. I'm going to try and do some more hopefully this weekend. It's been kind of busy at work. Also, this booth, this brand new booth might actually start to see some action in the fact that I'm going to start doing some calm down crazy. I'm going to be doing some voice work. I'm going to be tooling around on Fiverr, working on putting together a reel and a gig on there right now. So that way I can maybe try and do some stuff outside of just the podcasting sphere. So wish me luck, and if you ever want to bring me on for some voice work, I can do some voices. I'd be willing to help out.
I was actually getting a bit worried because since Sauer was talking about uploading stuff and you're talking about action, I was like, this is getting weird now. XBI is going weird. Yeah.
Well, we're broadening our horizons, crazy.
Where can we find the crazy one?
Oh, I got my OnlyFans. No, I'm just kidding. Where can you find? wait, but I actually do, but I don't use it though. But either way, Okay, so you can find the crazy one simple and easy. You can find me at Crazy Louis Gaming at Twitter, where I say good morning and do all sorts of crazy stuff, which I need to do some crazy stuff. It's been a while. I need to do a shower video again. People miss that, you know. Yeah, it's been a while. And also, so you can find me on Mondays at 12 p.m. at Xbox Lunch Week Special with Mr. Boomstick, Fuzzy Belvedere, and Mr. Web Dave. And last but not least, here on the Xbox International Podcast with Silent Cypher, Sourblow, and the Mr. Big Plume. Man, guys, like I always say, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and also hit that bell so it can tell you when XBI content. Yep, you see everybody's cheering. XBI content goes on. So yeah, you guys remember. Let's go, let's rock, and let's get crazy. Yes, see you all next Wednesday. Bye-bye. Have a good one.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've arrived at our destination. For your safety and comfort, please remain seated with your seatbelt fastened until the captain turns off this live stream. On behalf of Xbox International, I'd like to thank you for joining us on this trip, and we're looking forward to seeing you aboard next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.